Welcome to the third day of covering the art fundamentals to prove my friend making YouTube videos is easy. Today we're covering shape design. First we got 2D shapes and I'm using a square as an example because it's the most easy shape to use and work with. For a demonstration reference I'm using a simple poster. You can't really do much with 2D shapes, so we're using a rectangle on a perspective for a poster because it's a simple flat shape that can lay on a wall. And that's it for 2D shapes. You can use them to create flat shapes. You can use them to create flat objects. Secondly, we got our 3D shapes. I'm using a cube to demonstrate it because we used square earlier, so we can understand it and work with it better. For our demonstration reference of the 3D shapes, I'm using a simple amplifier. It's just a box shape, a rectangular prism with some simple add-ons. It got some rounded corners and borders. It's not a simple 3D shape at all, but it's the closest thing I can find to a rectangular prism, so we're using that. It got some buttons and knobs in it. You can use simple 3D shapes to create foundation of objects like that. And we got extension shapes. As in the name, we're adding extensions of shapes on our already there shapes. So we're adding our more boxes, more extension boxes around here and there on its sides. I'm using a simple cube-like shape for all the demonstrations because it's easier to work with and understand. Yeah, more cubes here and there. It's easier when you're working with a isometric perspective. And for a demonstration reference, I'm using a little teapot or a vase. Yeah, it's a teapot. It got a spherical oval body, which got a half circle extension for its lid. It got a donut shape for its handle and like a triangle, rounded triangle shape for its pouring thing. I don't know the name of it. And it got a rounded, like cylindrical base for it to stand up. We're adding these little extensions. And for the subtracted shapes, I'm using the same cube. And why we separated these cubes into quarters is making it easier to work with and understand the segments that make the cube. I'm subtracting some of the little cubes in our cube. And for a demonstration reference for a subtracted cube, I'm using a bolt. I don't know which one was nuts and which one was bolts, but I think it's a nut. And this nut is basically a donut shape too, but 6 rounded and cut corners and a big hole in the middle. So we're constructing our shape like that. Inside is middle is subtracted. The 6 corners is subtracted. And for twisting our shapes, using the same cube reference again. We're twisting its top and bottom sides, and middle gets affected by it. So it's getting twisted in the middle surface. And for a demonstration reference, I'm using a simple twisted Coca-Cola can. This is the normal shape of our Coca-Cola can, and this is the vector which it's getting twisted and spinned. Bases stay relatively same, but the body of the Coke can gets twisted in that way that vector we showed. So it's getting twisted from left to right in counterclockwise. So our shapes and text and design, it's getting twisted in that direction too. And bending, we hold the two sides of our square prism and just take them closer into each other for our example. This technique can be used in a lot of organic shapes and real life objects. I'm kinda struggling to make it accurate. But yeah, that's basically it. We've separated that into quarters. I'm cleaning up our base rectangular prism a bit more. And for our reference for our demonstration is this pipe, maybe pipe flute, I don't know what it is, but it makes a good reference. It's just a cylinder getting widened while it's going to bottom, but bent in the ways that I've shown. We're making the curves on its shape to show the curves of the 3D object better. We're refining it. And that's the demonstration of bending. And now stretching. Stretching is where you pull an object by its two sides and just, not really two sides, but although you can stretch it by its corners, but for this example, we're stretching it from its two sides. In the middle it gets thinner. You can see those curves that I drew. It makes a curved shape when it's stretched. And for our demonstration of this shape is a noodle cup. In a noodle cup, a basic square prism, but the upper corners are stretched towards us, so it makes this trapezoid shape. Practicing this shape manipulations from real life objects and animals and human anatomy and plants with references is a good practice to understand shape construction. I recommend that practice. For squeezing type manipulation, it's kind of opposite of that, pressing it from a corner or two sides in this case, and middle gets thicker and thicker and it gets a curve shaped again. I'm showing this curve, separating them into one force. And for our squeezing demonstration reference, I'm using this cute cat plushie I found on Pinterest. It's basically a squeezed sphere from its sides and upper corner. Yeah, it's such a basic shape, I'm just enjoying drawing this cutesy. We're drawing the hands that holds it. It's not essential, but I like cats. And yeah, that's all our demonstrations. These little arrows I'm drawing on is the vectors and spots. These manipulation effects are first cube. So extension, these vectors show where it extends. Subtraction, this crosses where it subtracts, twisting the twisting direction, bending the bending direction, stretching the two sides it's pulled on, and squeezing the two sides it's pressed on. And for 3D shapes, in which perspective it gets affected, getting into a 3D shape, and just a square of our 2D shape as a base. And that's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. Please like and subscribe if you find it beneficial for you. Bye.